And now, a word from our sponsors. The Jabari Show is brought to you by no one, not a damn person. We have no sponsors. So if you want to sponsor The Jabari Show, send us an email at info@colorsworldwide.com. We'd love for you to be a sponsor. Okay. Benoni Tagoe, my guy. Man, just a all-around entrepreneur, businessman, done so many different things, man. When you were introducing yourself now, how do you like to be introduced? How do you introduce yourself to people?
You know, I actually introduce myself as like I own a record label.
Okay.
But
you don't even like calling it a record label.
Yeah, exactly. You beat me to it. I was just about to get to that. I don't ever like calling Raedio a record label is like a bad term, like a bad word for us, because we want to be everything. We want to be a complete audio content company.
Yep.
But when I don't feel like getting into it, I'm just like, oh yeah, I run a record label.
Yep.
I just keep it like that just to keep it pushing.
So similar over here, man. I do the same thing. So like, sometimes if people ask what I do, I'll just be like, yeah, I run an entertainment company. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, oh, what do you do? And then I'll be like, oh, it's like cringe because I don't want to say we are a live events company, especially now, because now we are not just a live events company, but it's easier to tell a stranger, yeah, we produce live events.
100%.
But I don't know, like, should we both think of ways to shorten what we do in an elevator pitch format, but still being authentic to what it is that we're building?
You could do that. I'm good. And I'll tell you why. Like, for me, half the time I don't even want... The reason why I say, like, I run a record label is because I don't really want to be having that conversation to begin with.
What do you mean?
Because, like, I'm always thinking about it. Like, I wake up thinking about it. I go to sleep thinking about it.
Okay.
So, like, I kind of don't want to be talking about what I do, especially in certain environments and certain settings.
Got it.
And I understand that, like, people want to have an identity or like something to peg you as.
Yeah.
So I get that. So I try to give them a little bit of something.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's like, that's like, I'm not one of those people that likes to have like what I do be my identity.
Yes.
Because like throughout my life and my career, I've like shape-shifted so many different times.
Yep.
To where it's like, this is what I'm doing right now. I'm not going to be doing it forever.
Yep.
And pretty soon there'll be something else that I'm doing. So I kind of just try to give you a quick look. Hey, look, I run a record label.
Yeah.
We do stuff in podcasting. We do stuff in music supervision. We have a label. We have a publishing company.
Yep.
We do live events. So we do all of these things.
Yep.
But, again, depending on the conversation or like what the environment is, I'll get more in depth about it.
Let me ask you, okay, so, and we're jumping right in. This is how I like to do. But like, did you learn to not associate your identity with your career and your title, or was that something that when you first came in the game, were you just one? Like, was your identity wrapped up in what you did?
That's a good question. I mean, it kind of happened it kind of happened because of who I am naturally.
Okay.
Like, I just kind of always been like low key, and I kind of just don't like talking about myself.
Yeah.
And so naturally, it's like, I don't want to ever, like, people tell me all the time, like, oh, you downplay things. And I'm not intentionally downplaying anything.
Yeah.
I just generally don't want to talk about it. So, like, I try to get to the quickest way of saying, this is what I do. Let's move on. Let's talk about something else. Mm-hmm. And so it was always something. Like, when I started off, like, my first, like, major job that was attached to my identity was I used to work for the Jonas Brothers.
Yep.
And when I worked for them, that was like a huge part of my identity because everybody's like, oh, that's Benoni. He works for the Jonas Brothers.
Yes.
But when that time was over and the money ran out and the phone calls stopped and I was no longer associated with the Jonas Brothers, then I was quote unquote nothing. And so when I got to that point in my life, that really made me be like, you know what? I never want to like place my hat on what I do because I know how quickly that could all go away.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think that's a very important thing for young people to realize, man, as they're coming up, is just, you're so much more than your position. Let's talk about this Jonas Brothers thing in the beginning, right? So you grew up in Vegas, from Vegas. Parents immigrated, right?
My dad, yeah.
Your dad. Okay, so where'd your dad come from?
My dad's from Ghana.
Okay.
My mom's from Louisiana.
Okay.
So I grew up, for the most part of my life, like in San Bernardino, which is like just, outside of LA, the Inland Empire. And then we moved to Vegas because they were like, oh, it's cheaper in Vegas and, we can get good jobs and they pay well. So we moved to Vegas. So I finished like junior high through high school and some college in Vegas. And then I moved to LA.
And you always had told me this story about like going to the music school you went to, right?
Yeah.
In LA. So like, what made you want to get into entertainment, music industry? Because you've been in the music industry, but you've also very much been in just the entertainment industry. Yeah. So like, what made you want to get into that space, being from a place like or growing up a lot in a place like Vegas, and even being from San Bernardino, right? Like it's close to LA, but
way different.
Very different. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Sonia from the IE as well over there.
Nice. I knew it. She had the hustler spirit. Well, I mean, just to backtrack, like I've always just been a person that's just naturally curious.
Yeah.
And so like, when I was 18, I used to do real estate. So I used to work for Century 21.
Yep.
And
which is pretty young to work for Century 21, right?
100%. Yeah. But like as soon as I got a chance, because I was going to UNLV.
Okay.
And well, even before that, just let me backtrack.
Yeah.
So my nephew was a rapper and he was like, yo, you should manage me. I had no idea what management was, but I was like, I could help you because I was just always trying to figure things out and just always dream chasing and hustling.
Yep.
And so I helped him, put together his MySpace page. And like we had the best MySpace pages in Vegas because I found a guy that you pay him $300 and he can give you the best 3D graphics on MySpace.
Yeah.
Like when you go to my MySpace page, we had a building that would rise up. It'd be like in the hood. And so it'd be all these like buildings that are all messed up, and then there'll be this one building that would rise up, and the building like had like a little sparkle to it.
So this was graphics on the MySpace page?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like my page took forever to load because it was so much graphics.
Yeah.
But like I was always like, I was always into design, but then I was always just into like doing extra and doing what other people weren't. Mm-hmm. So started managing him. And then in 11th grade, I went to a school that was basically, it was called Community College High School. So I was taking high school classes, but I was at the community college. So it was like a special program. And my high school was paying for my college courses. And so I took this business 101 class, and the teacher comes up to me at the end of the teacher says, like, first day of school, he's like, hey, you guys need to get in groups with other people in the class. And you guys need to build a business from today all the way through the semester. You need to put together a business plan, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm a high school kid, I'm like 15, 16, and I'm in class with all these grown college students. And so I didn't go to anybody because I was just a little bit nervous, a little shy to do it. I'm walking out the door, and this kid comes up to me, or this grown-ass man comes up to me, and he goes, yo, like, do you have a group? I'm like, no. He's like, okay, you could be in our group. I'm like, okay, what kind of business are you guys doing? He said, we're doing a record label. And I said, oh, that sounds interesting. Meanwhile, my nephew is rapping, so I'm like kind of managing him. And so I was like, okay, I'll be a part of the record label. So I'm helping them with this record label, but like I'm giving them ideas. I'm telling them like, oh, we should be thinking about this, we should be thinking about that. And they would never listen to me, right? And so I kind of got tired of that. And after a while, when the class is over, that was kind of it. But it was like a bug that was in me of like, oh, I could do this music thing. I could do this entertainment thing. And like all the people that I looked up to were on TV, right? Like Jay-Z, Diddy, et cetera. So I'm like, Dame Dash. I'm like, oh, I could be like them. I just got to find my way. And so, make a long story short, I found a music school out here because I was taking music business classes at the community college.
Okay.
And the teacher told us, like, after I took the 2 classes, he was like, that's it. For the state of Nevada, there's no more music business classes that you could take. So if you want to take more classes, you got to go to California, Florida, or Boston. California is 4 hours away. So I packed up everything. I went to a school called Musicians Institute, and the rest was history. So,
man, we are very much around the same age, known each other for a very long time. And so, we grew up around the same time, same influences, wanted to get in the game because we were seeing people like Jay, Puff, Dame, all of these guys build the things that, the record labels and the businesses behind the music that we love, right? Mm-hmm. You have those same influences, but then you go and work for the Jonas Brothers, Pop, white boys,
Yeah.
completely different than the stuff that you're sort of like, you know, influenced by.
Yeah.
How does that even happen? And then B, you know, like what did you learn from that experience, from being with something, you know, being with and A, what were you doing? But also just like, yeah, like what were you able to grasp and take from like this other culture genre?
Yeah, I mean, I tell people all the time, like I grew up hip hop and R&B, but like professionally, I grew up very pop.
Yeah.
You know, but I was in this class, and this was like the first time. Like I always took school seriously. I was a straight A student, but I wasn't intentional about it. I was just doing it. I was doing well at school because I could. Mm-hmm. But when I went to Musicians Institute, I was like sitting in front of the class, volunteering for extra things.
Yeah.
Like I was really like, oh, this is my space to thrive. I was reading the book. Like I had started reading music industry books way before I stepped foot in class. So by the time class started, the teacher would ask questions nobody knew the answers to, and I'd be raising my hand every time because I had already been studying, and I was already well prepared.
Which, by the way, you're paying for. I never understand like kids who are going to school, college. You're paying for this. It's one thing to slack off in high school.
Yeah.
This shit is free, public education, you know what I'm saying? But like when you're paying for it or you're paying for a course, I just recently saw a sidebar, like many people that, me and you always talk about like courses that we're taking and stuff like this online. And like, I saw something that said like, it was a stat that it was like less than 20% of people that buy courses online right now actually finish them.
Wow.
I'm like, that is insane because you're paying for this.
Yeah.
If it's anything I'm paying for, I'm going to get the utmost value from it.
100%.
So like, that's, you know, to your point of like being in school, listening to what was being said and doing the extra work is just like, it's like, it seems like a lot of people would pat you on the back for that, but I'm like, that's a no-brainer, and that's what most of you students should be doing. But
I don't get that. How do you pay for like? How do you say, "Oh, I'm gonna go take this course" and then not take it?
Insane.
I got a class in 2 hours, literally today.
See,
So as soon as I get done with this, I'm rushing home to get on my computer to go take a class. That's gonna be an hour that I don't feel like taking, by the way.
But you paid for it, so you got to do it.
So I'm showing up on the Zoom.
So back to Jonas stuff.
Yeah, so I had a teacher who he was like, one day he was just like, you know, Jonas Brothers are looking for interns. You know, who wants to be an intern for them? Okay. And I didn't raise my hand because I didn't want the kids to know, because I was kind of like one of the star students of the class.
Yeah.
So after the class, I went up to him and I was like, yo, I would love to like apply to be an intern. And he was like, okay, I'll put your name in, you know, just send me your resume.
Yeah.
But by the way, I had on the side been this teacher managed a rock band. So on the side, I was managing their social media accounts for free because he was like, I need somebody to run their socials. So I'm over there tweeting for them. I'm Facebook posting for them. And so I already had an in with the teacher because I was doing extra work for him.
Yeah.
So he gets me the internship, and I start working, and that's where I developed the kitchen strategy, was what I call it.
Okay, what's that?
So basically, like, something just clicked in me when I moved to LA and when I started this school. Everything that I had always aspired to be, it just, like, God just told me, okay, Benoni, these are the steps. It was clear as day. So number one, I was the first one in the office every day.
Yep.
I was before the executives, I'm not competing with the interns.
Yeah, of course.
I'm competing with the executives, so to speak, right? So I'm the first one in the office every day. I'm the last one to leave. And they had a policy like interns need to like restock the refrigerator, and they need to like put stuff in the refrigerator. It needs to be like, the bottles need to be turned a certain way, like all the labels need to be facing forward.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So what I used to do, I used to get in, first of all, I used to make sure that everything was stocked. But then when people started filling in the office, I'd be in the kitchen just tightening, you know, arranging the bottles, fake cleaning up. Because what I wanted to do is, we had an intern office, but I needed you to see me. Yeah. I needed you to see me, and I needed you to know that every time I see that kid Benoni, he's working. Yep. So every day I'm in there, kitchen strategy. And it paid off, because one day I got a call into the office, and one of the executives was like, "Hey, we want to start paying you. We're going to give you $10 an hour because you've been such a great intern, And they were like, but you can't tell anybody because we're not paying the other interns. We're going to start paying you.
Yeah.
And here I am, broke, not making any money, calling home to Vegas. Hey, can you send me gas money so I can even make it to school, make it to this internship? And I took that $10 and ran with it. And make a long story short, you know, I was like, when my internship ended, they pulled me in. They said, hey, look, we don't have the budget to hire you, but, you know, we love your work, and any recommendations we can make, we'll do that. So one day I just cleaned up my resume. I sent it to all the executives, and one executive was like, hey, we hate to see you go, but I just want to let you know I forwarded your resume to our network, to my network. And I ended up getting called by AEG, and I got hired to run VIP concert packaging for AEG.
Yep.
I did that for a couple months. And then one day I get a call, and they're like, the Jonas Brothers need an assistant. They're about to go on a world tour. You know, the position pays $100,000 a year. I'm over here making $35,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I hit them with let me think about it.
Yeah.
But I thought about it for 2 seconds, and then I accepted the job.
Yeah.
And, you know, to answer your question, what that was like, I mean, first of all, it was crazy because, one, it was like money that I had never seen before.
Yeah.
Money that I could never have fathomed.
Yeah.
You're getting paid $100,000 a year. And come to find out, I was actually getting paid less than what I should be getting paid as an assistant. Like when I started talking to people, they were like, you're making what? You know, it was a whole thing.
And I think it's because it's the type of, that is another level of assistant.
100%.
You're not, most assistants don't make that kind of money, I don't think. But
depending on who it is.
But it depends on, yes, exactly, right? Yeah. Like it's that is a job that is like, it's a 24/7 type of job.
24/7.
And you're traveling 24/7. Like you're not working in an office. You don't have time to go home.
Barely have time to eat right.
Yeah, you're literally on all the time. Yeah. For, you know, a group that's generating probably hundreds of millions at that level.
100%. They're, you know, selling out tours, and you know, it was 3 of them. And, you know, when they get locked out of their apartment, they're calling you because you got the spare key.
Yep.
You know, they need you to go pick up their car and do something. They're calling you.
It's everything.
It's 100% everything. So anything that you do that you don't want to do on a day-to-day basis and you could pay somebody for, like that's what I did.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So what did you learn about having that kind of role for you know, A-list level talent?
I always tell people, and no disrespect to our troops, but I say it's like military training to a degree, because it's like you got to be ahead of them at every step of the way. That's why even to this day it annoys me, like when people aren't ahead of me on my team.
Yeah,
you know, like, what I mean by being ahead, it's like, okay, like when we were overseas, you know, like if we were in South America, we would travel every day. We would travel to a different country. So like we would go do a show, and then after the show, we maybe go to the hotel, get a chance to take a shower, and then from that night after you get out the shower, you're rushing to get on the plane, and you're flying overnight to the next country, and then you sleep on the plane, and then when you get to that next country, you might get to the next country at like 4 or 5 a.m. I got to make sure their bags are in their rooms. I got to make sure their bags are not lost, the whole 9. I got to order them breakfast. I got to call to the kitchen and say, hey, you know, because we have press every morning. Yeah. So let's just say press is at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. So I would say, okay, it's 5 o'clock. Hey, I need their dinner. I need their breakfast at 8 a.m. And then at, 8 a.m., I would meet the person that's delivering the food, knock on the door. Here's your food. Here's the rundown of what's going on today. And I had to do that for all 3 of them. They had to eat, then they had to go into makeup. I had to make sure they got into makeup on time, because if they're late for anything, that was my fault. Yeah. Right? I have to do that. Mind you, if you pay attention to the times I'm talking about, we landed at 5, press is at 9. They get to go to sleep. They've been asleep on the plane, and they get to go to sleep for that 3 hours. I'm up the whole time. I might get 2 hours of sleep because I got to be up before them. I got to take a shower. I got to get dressed. I got to eat to do all that. So, and when you walk into a place, you need to know where the bathrooms are. You need to know who your allies are. Like, oh, I need to call Jacob because Jacob knows this whole building, and if something random comes up, Jacob can tell me where to go.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they requested this type of food. Jacob knows where to get that food or that drink from.
Yo.
So like every step of the way, you got to be ahead of people. And so like even to this day, I had a dinner with an artist the other day. I'm there 20 minutes early.
Yeah.
Why am I there 20 minutes early? At my level as the head of the company, I'm there 20 minutes early because I need to go check in.
Mm-hmm.
I need to make sure that they have our names down for the reservation.
Yep.
I need to see where we're sitting. I need to make sure everything is set up. So by the time the artist walks in the door,
easy breezy.
Yeah. You know? And so to this day, I'm always steps ahead and I'm always thinking things through. Even parking.
Yeah.
Oh, where am I supposed to park? You know, like those little details.
Yeah.
And I think that those little details is what separates a lot of people.
Absolutely. So, you know, it seems like, I mean, and we'll get to definitely where you're at currently, but it's like, you know, you went from being an assistant to being the president, head of a label, and there's still key things and like, you know, skills that you have from being an assistant that you can apply to being a president.
Yeah.
And sometimes it even sounds like, even as the president, you have to think like an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just talk a little bit more about it. Are there any other ways that you think that in running a company now, and I'll give you an example for me, right? Like when I built Colors, and you know, I mean, I built a part of this thing on your couch. So, I feel like for the most part, not every single job, but I feel like I've done a lot of the jobs that I'm hiring for, that we currently have, or, you know, even that we'll need in the future. Is like I kind of have done everything.
Yep. So
I know what excellence looks like or needs to be when somebody needs to do it. You know what I mean? 100%. So, yeah, man. And it's been really helpful when you are building something from the ground up, or when you're building your own career from the bottom to the top. It's just really helpful in that like hiring process, man. So like, you know, what are the you talked about some of the skills you applied, but like what are some of the skills that you look for when, you know, filling out your roster of employees now at Raedio?
I mean, one, you have to be like fans of the brand of what we're building. You have to have respect for it. Because you know, with Raedio, we're very small, and you're gonna have to really roll your sleeves up. And I tell people all the time from conversation number one, like, if you're gonna come in here and at any point, if you ever have the thought that's not my job, if you ever think, if you're the type of person that even has remotely ever said that, you're probably not gonna make it.
This ain't for you.
Yeah, because it's like I find myself doing stuff that I'm like, whoa, I can't believe I'm doing this. You know? But it's what needs to be done. So, you know, in hiring, it's like, one, having respect and being a fan of the brand of what we're building. Also, I need to know like who you are and what you're going to be bringing to the table outside of like what I'm giving you. Because every time I hire, I have a very specific thing that I need, a position that I need to fill. And I can give you the bullet points of the position. But once I give you the bullet points, then I need you to be able to articulate and be able to show why you can accomplish those bullet points. But then also, what else? What is it about Jabari? What is it about whomever else that is unique to you that is going to help us grow?
Yep, absolutely.
And then also, and this kind of goes in being fans, like, I want to know that you did your research and you know what we're doing. And then, you know, what kind of questions do you have? So it's kind of like a feeling and a vibe. And to be quite honest, I haven't nailed hiring. Like, people tell me I have a good team now, and it took a while to get there. And you know, there's people on my team, and they'll be the first to tell you that it took a while to get to this point. It took a lot of conversations. And hey, why did you do that way? Or okay, let's pull each other to the side. You don't like that I did something. I don't like that you did something. Let's figure it out. You know, one of the star players on my team, it took a while for us to get on the same page and to make her a star player. You know, so it's having the patience and, you know, not giving up on people and saying, okay, I know that what you can bring to the table is going to be valuable if we get there to at a certain point. Yeah,
man. It's hiring, I've learned, is probably, aside from like, you know, making sales of your business, right, and like generating revenue, is probably the most important thing that a lot of founders and a lot of entrepreneurs skip over, and they 100%. And they forget about the importance of it. But ultimately, I was just talking about doing a lot of the things yourself in the beginning, but at the end of the day, as everybody knows, you cannot build something. You have to buy yourself, you have to replicate yourself, and you have to find people that have the strong suits that you don't have to build anything great.
Yeah.
Let's
well, even to that point of like having to like know all the parts of your business, like there's no part of Raedio that I don't know how to do, right?
Yeah.
Like we are players in the music supervision space. We do P-Valley, we do Godfather of Harlem, we got Power, we do Love and Hip Hop.
And for those that don't know what music supervision is, just enlighten them real quick.
So music supervision, the sexy way to put it is you pick music for TV, film, digital, commercials, etc. But what it is outside of picking music for those things is clearing the music, doing all the paperwork for it, making sure people are paid, all of the above.
That is, there's a lot of paperwork involved.
A lot of paperwork, yeah. So there's no part of my business, like music supervision, I tell people all the time, I'll never be a music supervisor because I don't like to read scripts, right? But I do know how to read scripts because I've been with Issa for a long time and I've helped develop a lot of stuff that we've done that people love.
Yep.
But I don't like reading scripts, so I don't really want to be a music supervisor.
Yeah.
But the push came to shove, and I was a lonely man on the island. I could do the job.
Yep.
That's part of the class I have tonight. Part of that is a music supervision course. But knowing like every aspect of your business is important because then it helps you also understand what to look for, and then not being a control freak to where it's like I know how to do XYZ, but I'm going to trust the team that I have in place to execute XYZ. But one rule that I have, I don't care how big or how menial the task is, if it's the first time that the company is doing it, I need to be involved every step of the way. Prime example, right? Like we did a campaign for a brand, and the brand asked for an ISRC code, right? This is basically like a code that for the song. It's like a barcode for the song. And I was like doing my research on how to get one because I have Atlantic is a partner, major label, and then ADA, which is like a big distribution company. So I never have to generate ISRC codes myself. I tell them, hey, I want to deliver this. I want to get this song out there. And they do everything behind the scenes, right? But this was like one of the first times as a company we had to do it. And somebody was like, oh, you need to go on DistroKid. Go on DistroKid, upload the song, you'll get the code. And so someone on my team was like, okay, cool. But they're like, Benoni, I'll take care of it. You don't have to worry about it. I was like, no. I need to do it because I need to know how to do it. And then they were like, well, I want to learn how to do it too. So I was like, okay, well, let's do it together. So me and her literally sat down and we went through every process. Title of the song, uploading the song, what genre, what label, et cetera, et cetera. But the larger point that I'm trying to make is that now I have an understanding of how to generate an ISRC code, which a 12-year-old can do. But now I understand how to do that. So I'll never do it again, but I have an understanding of how to do it again if I ever end up on an island by myself.
Yes, absolutely. And then I think also it's good, man, because like, especially when you're talking about creative stuff, like, cause me, I have the filmmaking background and, I know how to edit video. I know how to make artwork. I know how to do all these different things. And then when you build a company where you're doing that on a larger level and a larger scale and you're hiring like real creatives to make, film stuff, to make, visuals, to make all this stuff. At least you have an understanding of how to do it. So you also, not only do you have an understanding, but like, you can also maybe put a cost to that, and you understand how much it costs to like pay somebody to make that of a certain quality.
A timeline as
well? Timeline. You know what I mean? So all these things are beneficial to just know the ins and outs of your business. I think that's something that I would really tell a lot of founders is just knowing the ins and outs of your business, man. Knowing how much it costs to acquire customers, knowing how much it costs to spend on marketing, knowing how much it costs, for rentals of from vendors for equipment. I mean, it's all of these things that you really should be aware of and not necessarily just outsource to someone else, especially in the beginning days. So, you learned a lot of stuff from Jonas. How long were you working with them?
I was with them like 3 years.
3 years, which is a long time, man. Traveling all around the world. Yeah. By the time we met, man, I think we were both around maybe 25, something like that. Maybe 24. And by that time, you had been all around the world, traveled so many different places. But when we met, you were working with Issa Rae on Awkward Black Girl. I think I had done I think it was a screening that I did, right? When we first met, with the Macklemore documentary I did?
No, it was.
What was that?
We met at this brand agency in New York.
Ah, yes. Okay. Yes. It was, but Issa was on. It was me and Issa on a panel.
I believe so.
Yes. Damn, what was that for? I don't even remember. But yeah. So we met there. You told me, you were producing that with her. I was a big fan of it, of the YouTube series, and then me and you just hit it off, man. And so tell me about, sort of getting into that world now, because that's, content, early days of YouTube. This is not, what Issa Rae, the mogul, the legend, has become now. You're working with her when, the main distribution platform was YouTube.
Yeah.
So, yeah, tell me about that how that started in that ride.
I think working with Issa, even in the beginning, was like, I always wanted people to believe in me, right? And that wasn't always the case. I had to show and prove.
For sure.
And so Issa gave me the opportunity to believe in something and to believe in a person, first and foremost, believe in the thing that they're creating, and then to be able to bring myself and say, hey, here's what I see what you're doing. Here's how I could provide value to that thing.
Yes.
And so, in the early days, it was really just about helping her produce Awkward Black Girl, but I was always like the business entrepreneur guy. So my thing was like, how can I help this thing grow, market? How can I create ancillary things around it, derivatives, et cetera?
Yep.
How can we help this thing get exposure, and how can we help this thing make money outside of just the content?
Yeah.
And so I was kind of just a fill in the blanks guy, and being the fill in the blanks guy, we started that in 2011. And I kind of just, as she grew, I grew, but I always grew behind the scenes. That's why, like, most people that know me for a long time always know me in my association to Issa, but I never really been never front and center, right?
Yeah.
Like, always kind of just put the pieces together. Even to this day, like, always putting the pieces together. So it was a good ride, and I guess to answer your question, it was a chance to be a part of something. And, Issa came to me and said, I can't pay you, but I want you part of my team. And at the time, I was still working with the Jonas Brothers. So money wasn't really an option.
Yeah.
I mean, one wasn't an
issue.
Mm-hmm. And so I was just kind of like, look, I'm down to be a part of this. Here's how I know that I can contribute. And the rest kind of just went from there.
And so, Awkward Black Girl starts to get big, eventually turns into, partnership with Pharrell and I Am Mother. It starts to become really big and a cultural moment on YouTube. Yeah. And then, obviously, as we all know, and where a lot of people were probably reintroduced or just introduced to Issa and her brand was through Insecure.
Yeah.
And, then there's a new wave of notoriety and, celebrity that this person starts to get. And now you start to see Issa becoming, not just a well-known person, but more along the lines of like the A-list celebrity.
Yeah.
What is it like now that you've had experience with Jonas, experience with Issa in that realm? What is it like working with and being the behind-the-scenes guy of people that are so big to the world?
It's an interesting thing. I mean, for me, it's fine. I know a lot of people will have issues with it, but for me, it's fine. Because actually, like, the cool part about it is people know about the Jonas Brothers and know about Issa, but for every Jonas Brothers and Issa, there's probably at least 4 or 5 other people that I've been behind that nobody knows about, but when I was behind them, they were killing it. Like, I had a company called The Biz Plan, which was a management company.
Oh, yeah.
And I was behind some of your favorite influencers. A lot of people don't know. Like,
name some of the influencers.
You know, like Peak Mill.
Yep.
You know?
Peak Mill, who, if you don't know, man, the amount of hair that she's moving is just out of control.
She was doing 7 figures a year when I was working with her, selling hair. You know, closed a lot of big deals for her behind the scenes. Owned by Femme, you know, Renee. I was working with Renee for a very long time. Valencia, who was a school teacher out of Baltimore, who was going viral every other day because she was giving her kids real talk. And
shout out to Valencia.
Yeah. There's so many people. Those are just the 3 that I could think of. But I always had like black women, right? It always ended up being, it was never really by design, but I found that black women I just understood, and I feel like black women run social media. So like, if you can get black women to support you, then that the rest is history.
For sure.
You know, so it's always, you know, Issa and the Jones Brothers are like the most notable, but there's a lot of people I work behind that are actually making very good money, and I was impactful in their careers. But, you know, the 2 biggest critiques in my whole career, and maybe even life, but specifically my career is, 1, I'm too nice, right? And it's like, okay, I'm never going to be a pushover, and I'm going to stand on my 2 feet, and I'm going to say what's going to work and what's not going to work. But that being nice critique is always funny to me because, like, I'm not an entrepreneur posing as a human being, right? I'm a human being posing as an entrepreneur when you really break it down. And so me being nice, like, I'm not going to lose my humanity. I know a lot of jackasses that are at the top of their career who nobody likes them. I know a lot of people who are killing it at their career and you will not hear any good things about them. I'm not trying to be that guy. Right. So like this, you're too nice critique. That's always been one critique of me. My second critique has always been, I need to put myself out there more.
I.e., you being a ghost on social media?
Okay. Exactly. So like the you need to put yourself out there more has always been a critique. And, you know, to answer your question about what's it like to stand behind these people, for me, it's fine. I get to do my work, put my head down, make my money, make my impact, and do what I want to do and not be bothered. Like if I was putting out the work that I'm doing, like I get a lot of people that quite frankly annoy me all day, every day. On a regular basis. There's probably not a day that goes by that I don't get a text message or email that I'm like, what do you want, right?
And they're just, and they say like, at first they say, what's up? Hey.
What's up, bro?
How's it been? And it's like, you know, just had the first text be the ask.
Please. So I can quickly tell you if it's going to happen or if it's not going to happen. And by the way, if it makes sense, we'll do it. If it doesn't make sense, then no, it's not going to happen. But I say that to say, like, I have no problem being behind the scenes, but like this takes, like, being in front of the scenes and quote unquote putting yourself out there is work. Like this alone.
This is very rare, ladies and gentlemen.
Like this is an hour of my time.
Very rare for Benoni.
I love you. You're my guy. But this is an hour of my time. By the time I get back to my phone.
Maybe more than that.
More than that.
You have to get here, you have to leave.
There's emails racking up that I got to tend to. There's phone calls, texts. There's information that I got to give out. Or there's just time where I could just be doing what the fuck I want to do. But imagine, I'm doing this. Imagine if I was putting myself out there more. It'll be 5 or 6 of these. And I'd be on Instagram. I got to make sure I capture the right picture. I don't have time. And I don't want to be doing all of that.
Now, do you think, though, that, you know, I'm going to play devil's advocate for, let's say that you were, do you think that you're missing out on anything from not having a social media presence, not doing the PR and press as much, not, you know, telling people the ins and outs, and we're getting to it, the ins and outs of what it's like running, you know, this record label Raedio that is a partnership with Issa Rae and Atlantic Records, and you know, you have all these things that, you know, I'm sure a lot of people want to know about what it is like to be you, but are you missing out on something? Do you ever think that?
I don't think it, but there's an argument that could be made that I could be missing out, but I don't think I'm missing out because I know what my end goal is.
Yeah. Which is
to do what I'm doing to a certain point and then to fall all the way back and not be doing any of this.
Yeah.
Like for other people who have goals of like there's some people that live and breathe entertainment, and I got to be at the top of my game at the end.
Yeah.
That's not really my goal. My goal in the beginning for Raedio specifically was I wanted to create a company that the world has never seen before.
Yes.
And I'm on my way to creating that. I tell people like, okay, you can find labels that might be bigger or better than us. You can find music supervision companies that are bigger or better than us. All the different parts of Raedio, you could probably find something that's bigger and better. But what you're not going to find is a company that seamlessly creates all of these audio experiences. From a consumer standpoint, the consumer could say, oh, wow, that makes sense. They're playing in all these spaces. But behind the scenes, from a business model perspective, we're doing really well where it's like, oh, we have music supervision. Cool. Now we're going to create a library and we're going to pump our library into that. We have a label. So now we have artists that we're going to place on those platforms in the P-Valleys, in the Powers, etc. We have live events. So now we can do events around that and we can help market it, etc. And so
and you have content from those events.
And we have content. And it's just this full 360 end-to-end audio company.
Yes.
Now we're about to get into podcasting. So all of those things we can extract and we can create shoulder programming or campaign content, or not campaign, complementary content.
Yes.
To all of those things. So I don't think that I'm missing out on anything because I know what my end goal is. However, there's a new Benoni 2.0 that's coming.
Okay.
And I have like plans for that.
Okay.
Which is part of the reason why I'm here. Like everything, like nothing's by chance.
Yeah.
Like as soon as this is done, I need to find out when it's coming out.
Yep.
Because I got ideas and I got goals of like how I'm going to use this and leverage this for my next thing.
Absolutely.
You know? And so when the time comes and when I have something to sell, then I'll be on social media.
Yeah.
So when you see me on social media popping, selfies and like, oh, he's always on Instagram stories, just know that there's a funnel.
Yeah. It's top of funnel. It's top of funnel work.
To get you interested in me.
Yep.
To get you to buy into the lifestyle that I'm presenting.
Yep.
And then there's going to come an ask.
It's not just to showcase lifestyle.
It's not just to showcase lifestyle. That's just not for me. And there's, no offense to anybody else that's doing it. Everybody else has the things that work for them. But, it's just funny because everybody wants you to be a certain way.
Yeah.
And, I had a conversation which kind of annoyed me where a person was just like, oh, it's okay to like brag and boast. Like just out of the blue, like, Benoni, it's okay to brag and boast about your accomplishments. And I never came to them and said, oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. But for them, they were just like, they couldn't understand how I could be doing X, Y, Z and not puffing my chest out.
Yeah.
So
I think it says more, man, about the person that has a lot, but nobody knows has a lot, than it does somebody who has a little and acts like they have a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It's just, like I said, when it's my time, when I have something coming, then I'll be out there.
Yeah.
And, I do have a fear of like, as I transition spaces, like, I'm doing radio now and there'll become a time where radio is no more, radio morphs. And maybe I'm the guy that leads it into that morph, or maybe I'm not. I always wonder, like, okay, when it's time for me to do my next thing, am I known enough to be able to get help on that next thing, whether I need to raise money, whether I could pick up the phone and call and say, hey, help me with this thing. But I kind of just do good work. And a lot of the people that are decision makers, they know who I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other day, I was at somebody's house and they were playing like a Spotify like playlist, and I was playing this little game in my head of like every time an artist pops up, I was like, okay, what type of story or what type of connection do I have to that artist? And like for 10 songs straight, right? And these are like popular artists. For 10 songs straight, I was like, oh, I know his manager.
Yeah.
Okay, I know his friend. I know the artist directly. And it was kind of like one of those reality checks of like, oh shit, when push comes to shove, I actually do have a network. I just don't ever really tap into that network.
Yeah. You don't lean on it. Yeah. And sometimes, man, you're gonna have to, pull that card, that favor card, and say, hey, I haven't used this. Yeah. But I need to cash in on it. And I think that, man, the less you ask for things from people, the more they're willing to do it, because they know that you're the type of person that doesn't always ask for stuff, or that doesn't always need something, or that doesn't, and has shown up for them countless times before. Let's talk about Raedio, man. So Raedio, you are the president of Raedio, and Raedio is dubbed as an audio everywhere company. Yeah. So, and you talked about it a little bit before, but technically, what does audio everywhere mean? And tell me about the beginnings of Raedio. Like, how did you get, what was the process like when talking to Issa about starting a record label, right? About saying, she's very well known as a music fan and a curator and someone who, has a great ear and selection for music. And so why was it so good to take her brand, the things that you were thinking about, and create this brand, for audio everywhere?
Well, for a long time, we had always, because Issa's a hustler and entrepreneur, and she's always forward thinking. Yeah. And for the longest time, we were like, we should do a record label. Like, we probably started talking about a record label in 2011. And we always say, okay, when the time is right, we'll know. And over the years, we always talked about it, but it'd just be like in passing, right? And then Insecure takes off, and people are music is becoming synonymous with the storyline of Insecure.
Absolutely.
So it's like you talk about Insecure and the characters and the scenes and the settings and Inglewood, and then you talk about the music. And so we started featuring artists, and we started helping break some artists. We started to notice that there was a huge uptick of artists post Insecure. And so we were like, oh, we should have a hand in this, and we should be more strategic about it.
Yep.
And so the idea originally started off as like, okay, we want to be a record label. And I thought about it, and I was like, okay, we could do the record label thing, but honestly, it just wasn't really that much of a challenge for me. And I was like, I think we can be bigger than that. And I'm like, okay. It's funny because even when it's starting Raedio, there's a lot of people that, came to Issa and were like, oh, you should have this person run it because they have music industry experience. And I always just know that I was probably the only person that could have created this company because I had a inner understanding of how Issa thinks, how our company was just in terms of the production side of things. And I knew how to create a company that perfectly fit into the existing infrastructure.
Got it.
And so the number one thing, I was like, okay, well, look at Insecure. One, we're spending a lot of money on music, right? On music supervision, clearing things, et cetera. So I'm like, okay, we could do the label thing. But if we do the label thing, we're going to have to go out and beg and pitch music supervisors to place our artists. So why don't we just create a music supervision company with it? Then it was like, okay, cool, we'll create the music supervision company. But then we might as well have a publishing company as well so that we can be representing the songwriters and producers that we're placing as well. Yep. So now it's a 360 approach. We're the ones controlling the music. We get to place our artists. We get to place our songwriters and producers. And so we call it an audio everywhere company is because we want to exist wherever music or wherever audio exists.
Yeah.
We're very strategic about not even saying music. It's wherever audio exists. So if you get in the elevator and you hear elevator music, we want to be the company that program the elevator music. Mm-hmm. If you get in your car and you didn't put your seatbelt on and there's a beep, we want to be the company that programs that beep. If you go to the hospital and there's medical equipment and it says that this thing is running low or the battery is empty or there's an emergency, we want to be the company that controls those sounds. And so that's where we're going. My goal is to have John Deere call me and be like, yo, we got this new tractor, program the sounds for this tractor. Yeah. That's my goal.
Yeah.
But you got to give the low-hanging fruit was music. And so we started off with the label because that's something easy for people to grasp. So we signed our deal with Atlantic Records. We signed our publishing deal with Cobalt. We went and bought a company called Bonfire Collective who had done Wu-Tang, The Get Down, a lot of big TV shows and films.
Yep.
We bought that company. We rolled them under Raedio, and they became our in-house music supervision company. And kind of the rest was history after that. And so, the end goal was always just to be able to cover audio from place to place. And, the next thing is we've dibbled and dabbled in podcasting, but like this is the first time we're actually going to be creating a full podcast network. Because I remember Gimlet's first ever podcast.
Yeah, I mean, you were big on podcasting, man, just in general.
Yeah, I've always loved podcasting, and I love the space from a business perspective. And also just from a content perspective. And so now we're working on a podcast deal where we're going to become, major players in the podcast space as well. So the end goal for Raedio is just, if it's audio, we're a one-stop shop.
Yep.
Come to us.
That's amazing, man. On Raedio, I recently had, the opportunity to come to something that you guys did, which was a branded writing camp. So, This is something that I feel like, we've spoken about this on numerous occasions where you're taking traditional things in the music industry and doing them in a non-traditional, unique way. So first, tell people like what a writing camp is in general. Yeah. And then, this was a writing camp that I experienced for Insecure. And then as well, you guys are doing it again. But talk about what a writing camp is. And what was Raedio's approach to doing it differently for this Insecure writing camp that just happened?
Well, I mean, I like to think that I'm a genius, but I'm not. A lot of this stuff is like, we're taking things that are done every day, and we're just putting a brand behind it.
Yeah.
And then we're adding marketing to it. That's as simple as that. So that's our secret sauce. Take it and run with it.
Right? Yep.
Writing camps have been in existence since the beginning of man, so to speak.
Beginning of music, man.
Beginning of music, man. Right? So a writing camp is basically where you're looking for certain music for a show. So for Insecure, we say, okay, for these scenes, we need a very specific type of music, a very specific vibe, a very specific artist. So we'll write out what those scenes are, what type of music we need. We'll send out invites. We bring people to the studio. We explain to them what we need. And then over the course of a weekend or a couple of days, whatever the case may be, they kind of just work on those briefs is what we call them.
Got it.
And they hit on those points like, oh, there's a love scene, or like, oh, two friends get in a huge fight and they break up, craft a song that carries that emotion. So that's essentially what a writing camp is. It's just
And this usually happens with TV shows, or does it usually happen with where I'm familiar with it is for like artists and coming up with an album or
exactly.
Stuff like that. So it's just all of the above.
All the above, yeah. Like traditionally, it is for artists like that are working on an album. They'll just bring a bunch of people down. Kanye is known for
this, the ones in Hawaii,
and Montana. But yeah, we just are doing it for TV shows and films. And so we bring a bunch of people out, they work on the music, and then we kind of just go from there. But the one thing that we made, we wanted like the general public we wanted to just put a face to things that the general public may have heard of or may have never seen, right?
Yes.
So for instance, like music supervisors, if I ask you, you tell me, right? Not to put you on the spot.
Okay, let's go.
But who are some music supervisors that you know?
Okay, I will give you one. Scott Werner.
Okay. So you know him because of Entourage and Ballers.
He did another show, How to Make It in America, I think.
How to Make It in America, yep.
I mean, I really know him because of he's good on social media, Broke Mogul. But also, and Pharrell, yeah. But I mean, that's why I put a face to him. Is because of the, what's the podcast that they have? I think it's called
Other Tones.
Other Tone, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what shows do you know that are popular for music?
Definitely Insecure. I would say a lot of stuff on HBO. Girls. Shows for music. Honestly, I would say like the NBA and stuff like that. Yeah. Just like in general, just like
when they're going to commercial.
Yeah,
breaks.
Going to commercial breaks. You know, even like inside the NBA shows like that. Atlanta, no doubt.
Atlanta. Perfect.
Yeah, those are the ones I'd say.
Okay, so basically.
Oh, and then there's another show on HBO that I really fuck with the music, and it's called Generation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, you mentioned probably the top music supervisors. You only mentioned one music supervisor.
Yes.
But you mentioned 3 of the top music supervisors based off the shows.
Got it.
So you got Scott Venner, who's like the most popular music supervisor of all time.
Yeah, definitely, I would say.
Because he like branded music supervision.
Yep.
Then you said Atlanta. So that's Jen Malone.
Okay.
Who also does what's the show with Zendaya?
Oh yeah, Euphoria.
Euphoria.
Yeah, so that's another one I forgot to mention.
Yeah, so you got Jen Malone who does Atlanta, Euphoria.
Yep.
And then you got Keir Lehman who does Insecure.
Sorry, one more.
Yeah.
This Is Us has amazing music supervision.
Okay.
And it's not always like new songs by any means. It's actually rarely new songs, but they go into like catalog music, and I mean, but the way the music is placed in the scenes evokes a certain type of emotion that is like crazy and always gets me to cry. So yeah, that's definitely another one.
Yeah. So the point that I'm trying to make is that you were only able to mention one music supervisor by name.
Only one, yeah.
But yet every day I hear people say to me, I want to be a music supervisor. I want to be a music supervisor. It's a field that is extremely sexy. Mm-hmm. It's just like an A&R. A&R and music supervisor is what everybody wants to be.
Yeah, and you can't really name that many A&Rs as well.
Yeah. And so for us, I was like, okay, I'm just going to put a brand behind it. Mm-hmm. So now when you think about Raedio, you're going to think about Raedio on the label side. You're going to think about Raedio on the publishing side, the events that we do, the writing camps. But Raedio is now going to become one of the most, if not the most popular name in music supervision, because we're branding it as we are a music supervision company. There's a company called Format that does all the Marvel stuff. There's another company called Neophonic. You had never heard of those companies.
Never, ever, man. Never.
You know, I got this, technically this hoodie is the hoodie of a music supervision company. Mm. When we start selling merch, you're going to be buying merch of a music supervision company.
Yeah.
But you're not really buying merch of a music supervision company. You're buying to a lifestyle, culture-based company, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And so all we're doing is we're taking parts of the music industry and we're placing a brand to it.
Yo, I love that.
And then there'll be like, you know, I'm from the school of Scott Galloway. You know,
yeah, of course.
As you put me on too.
Yes.
So there'll be some different components that come to it, but like all we're doing is just putting a face to things, and we want to be able to say, hey, here's something that you like. Writing camps, the general public has heard of writing camps, but they never got a chance to see what a writing camp looks like.
Never.
So we decide, okay, we're going to film it. We're going to put it all over social media. We're going to show you how we invite things. We're going to invite people. We're going to show you how we clear songs. Mm-hmm. We're going to show you the types of songs we're looking for. We're going to run contests. So now fans can send us music so they can get an opportunity to be featured on the show.
Yep.
All we're doing is turning a camera on things.
Yep.
And doing it at a high level, right? And doing it in a respectable way and making sure that the industry loves us and fucks with us, but then also the general fan has an understanding how these things work and also knows that they have a role in it as well.
Now so one thing, what I've noticed, right? When you turn something on its head, I feel like you can create some enemies as well. So do you think that there are folks in the music industry that are looking at you in the traditional music industry that are looking at radio like, what are they doing? This used to be this closed thing. We used to do this way. This is how it's supposed to be. Nobody's supposed to know X, Y, and Z. And it's like, are you making enemies right now by, you know, opening up some of these like more private sanctions or more private areas of the music industry?
Yeah, I mean, not that I know of. Like, well, number one, when we came into the game, I never wanted to become competition. Mm-hmm. I always think that like the number one mistake you can make as a new company coming into an industry is like try to be competition to the people that are already there. I came into it being a resource. So like, yeah, we have a label, but like the music supervision company part of the company is a huge compliment to the industry because I'm basically able to go to the other labels and other managers and other artists, and I'm able to say, hey, I have this platform, this show needs your music. And we're very agnostic, right? Where we work with every label. Like sometimes labels hire us to do special projects because they don't look at us as a label. But because they know that we have access to most of the shows that are culturally relevant, they're coming to us to pitch us stuff. I get pitched every day by labels, by managers, by executives, the whole nine. And the reason being is because they're like, oh, if I want to get my music placed, I go to Raedio. So for a large part of the industry, they look at us as a resource and as an ally. But I do get a lot of, not so much anymore, but in the very beginning, I got a lot of, oh, that's not how things work. And my question was, okay, is it not how things work because, like, am I breaking a law? Am I going to hurt somebody? If I'm not breaking a law and if I'm not hurting anybody, then I'm bulldozing right through the situation.
Full steam ahead.
If you're saying that it's not done that way because you guys lack innovation and you lack hustle, well, that's not my problem.
And that is definitely the music industry. We know.
So I'm like, full steam ahead, I'm just going to do what I want to do. So no, I don't have any enemies that I know of, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. You probably do, but fuck them. And just so I want the audience to really hear this correctly, man. Like what you guys are building is really just vertical integration, right? So like, let's just go over it. So we've got, media being created, the stuff that people see like Insecure, P-Valley. These are shows, these are concepts. Then you've got the audio component of those shows. Is, you're able to pull audio that you guys are producing, artists that you guys are signing, and place those into that stuff. But you guys also maybe might pull from stuff that you're not signed, right? And go and grab the music, license the music, place them in the content. So you've got this sort of, the supervision and the creation of the audio, and then you've got another component of things that just need audio in general, being able to be the audio providers of those things. I mean, what else am I missing, man? Like how else can you guys take over? Oh, and then now you said you got podcasting. Podcasting is coming soon.
And marketing.
Right? Marketing.
So being able to go to the networks, the studios, and saying, hey, we placed this song with this premier artist in your show or in your movie. Allow us to run the marketing campaign from a music perspective.
Absolutely.
So let us hit up Billboard, Complex, etc., and let's talk about this artist and this song. And how impactful it is to this movie. So while you guys are hitting up, whoever you hit up for TV and film, we're going to hit up the music place blog. So now you're getting another influx of traffic from a completely different angle. A lot of the shows that we work on rank at the top of Shazam charts. They show that people are Shazamming it. So we've done partnerships with Shazam where if you're listening to a song and you want to know who did it, you Shazam it. And then the song says, like the artist will pop up and say, hey, this is XYZ, thanks for Shazamming my song. So like those little marketing components, are what we do. We just got hired by HBO to do marketing for this song called Air. So it's a parody song. Basically, it was for a Black Lady sketch show. And so on the show, the artist, Sky Townsend.
I think I saw this. Yeah,
it was like on the fourth episode. So Sky Townsend performs this song. They gave us the song and they said, can you guys distribute it and can you market it? We've been able to create TikTok campaigns around it. We've been able to get the song playlisted. And this is like a parody song. Imagine if it wasn't a parody song. So we're actually adding a marketing component by default. And then also we're creating a cosign where it's like, oh, Raedio, if Raedio worked on that show, then you know the music is going to be of a certain level. So it's very vertically integrated. It's like looking at the pipeline and saying, okay, where are all the things that we would normally outsource, and how can we bring those in-house?
Absolutely, man. I mean, we're doing that type of inventory in our own company right now, man, where it's like, as we're getting this new office space, you know, we have, in this office, you see how big it is, you know, but we have so much more stuff coming, content studios, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And now we're like, well, you know, some of our equipment, like some of these LED screens that you see is like not housed in this office. They're housed in like our production partners. And we're like, that shit's coming with us to Miami. We need to get in a space that is like big enough to house this. Because who knows? What if we rent that out more to people? What if we, right now, it's not in our office, so we're not thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like whatever, we use it when we need to, whatever. But like now it's like, no. It needs to be under one roof, vertically integrated, and we need to make money from this thing when it is not making money or when it's not being in use for us.
Exactly.
So yeah, man, that's the way I'm thinking about a lot of stuff. We're thinking about a lot of stuff in here. So lastly, bro, I want to talk about, you know, we talked about business, we talked about life, how these things sort of intersect. You know, your how you especially want to keep, you know, your humanity and your dignity as a person and not let it overrun you, man, with this crazy game that we're in. But what advice do you have, man? Like, give me some gems, give me some stuff that like this younger generation can take and actually, you know, use, like, and is it, what do you think that like the 20-something-year-old now needs actionable advice to be thinking about to like get to a place that you're at?
I mean, I would say just be patient. You know, easier said than done, but you know, be patient because, you know, you should be learning every step of the way. You should just be trying things. Like my secret sauce is I'm always willing to try things. You know, like now I'm still trying things. Obviously, those trying things have different impacts because of where I'm at in my career, but early on, I was just trying things. Like I told you, I did real estate. You know, I sold a couple houses. I used to work at H&R Block. I was tax season. I was in there. Like people used to love me because I was like the youngest one in the office doing taxes quickly. You know, but from real estate and understanding how real estate plays into things and the money that comes into that and taxes, learning how to maneuver with taxes, I still apply those things to this day. So just always be curious. Always be learning, always try things. And I think being a resource to people, like if you have nothing to offer if you think you have nothing to offer to a situation and you go to a person and you say, hey, look, I love what you're doing. I just want to volunteer, like, or here's what I'm doing. Here's how I feel like I can help out. I feel like being a resource and just being open to take on any type of role will get you very far. You know, on patience, bro, like we got to talk about, you know, for those that don't know, man, me and you, we had a company together, right? And we started a company called Volume Visual. And the long and short of this company, everyone, is that like basically we helped artists make money from YouTube, right? We helped artists. It was what we would call a multi-channel network when multi-channel networks were popping. And, you know, we were at it for about, what, a good year and a half. Right? Maybe around that time. Maybe even 2 years. Maybe less, probably.
Less than that?
I feel like a year and a half is probably the most.
Year and a half, maybe. Okay. But you know, what I always think about with this company, right, is that we started something. It worked for a bit. It got some traction. We had some offers, right, for like some acquisition stuff, and we were so young that I feel like I didn't know half the stuff I know now. You know what I mean? Like, but ultimately, when it wasn't working, we did different things. We remained friends. We probably got closer after that company. You know what I mean? So like, but what I see happen with a lot of young guys, man, and girls, and just young people is like, something doesn't work out. It's two things. It'll be like something doesn't work out with the business, friendship is gone. Or they don't know when to like bow out gracefully from the business. And it's like not knowing when to quit something could be just as detrimental as like doing the wrong thing, or you know what I mean, or going like bankrupt or something. Like it's like, you know what I mean, like you should know when to stop it. And I wanted to just talk about that with you, man, because like what was it with that thing that you think where we understood like, you know, it's time to put this to bed?
Well, I think number one is just personally, you got to make sure you're together personally.
Yeah.
You know, like you got to have a place to stay.
Yeah.
You got to have money to put gas in your car.
Yep.
You got to have a car, right?
Yep.
Like, because I think that if you don't have basic things like that together, it will interfere with your decision making.
Yes.
Number one. And I think that was a huge component of like, for us, just we both weren't at a place personally stable wise.
Yeah, man. I mean, at the time I was, man, and this is, bro, I was living in Benoni's crib on his couch, man, trying to figure it out, hustling, doing events. And I was telling him like, yo, I think I got to do this events thing. Like, I think this is the thing that's going to bring in some revenue for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I still appreciate you so much, man, to this day. Like, thank you, bro, for letting me, you know, it was what, 3, 4 months, 5 months, I don't know, that I was on that couch and had to, it was just crazy that we were working on something while I was on that couch. You know what I mean? And like, we still had something to build. And it was, you know, temporary, but
100%. So yeah, I would just say, you know, making sure you're together personally. And, you know, I even tell that to the artists I work with. Like, when I'm about to sign an artist, I'm doing an audit on their personal life. Because the minute I'm like, oh, I need you to be in the studio, I need you to show up to do this performance, and they're talking about, oh, I don't have a ride to get there, that's a problem. You know, and that's going to interfere with their career. And
it interferes with the growth. Like you might be thinking as an artist, like, I don't have these things, and you know, but I'm working to try to get these things, and it's like you kind of need a baseline level of like stuff that you're able to do and move and get around properly before you even commit to this type of life, because the things that will pop up in your like artist, entrepreneurial, creative mode and journey, you need some of the basic things met, i.e. transportation.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah. So that's one. And then the other thing is like what I learned from that experience is like the value of a good idea. Yeah. And being able to capitalize on a trending moment or a trending industry. Yep. And at the time, MCNs were trending. And so we had via a deck and who we were individually, like we were able to lean on your experience in the music industry, we were able to lean on my experience in the music industry, and a great idea and a trending industry. That culmination allowed us to get offers and to get real meetings and real attention before we even started recruiting channels. And it got to a point where we were like, oh, we're not going to do any of these deals, and then we started recruiting. But there was a lot of stuff that was happening before we started. So, you know, in that same line of thinking, I'm thinking about this for NFT space right now, where I'm like, okay, I see what opportunities are in the NFT space. I know where my experience can like really shake the game up. So I've been thinking about a lot of stuff in NFT space because I'm like, okay, my experience, a trending industry, and a lot of people are just trying to figure it out, and I've been deep diving into it. I'm like, oh, I think that the next thing I do has to be in NFT space because I know that I can come out the gate and make an impact. I love that, man.
Man, one more piece of advice. Books you've read. Give me top. Books, courses, websites. Is there anywhere people can go and, you know, give some suggestions, and then why some of these suggestions would help folks?
I mean, books, Purple Cow, Seth Godin is one of my favorite books of all time because it just challenges you to think differently about things and
about marketing.
Just about marketing. So Purple Cow is a good read. It's a short read. There's a book called Drive by Daniel Pink that just teaches you about like what motivates people. That book is great. There's a book called Hooked by Nur
yes.
Isle.
Yep.
Hope I'm saying his last name correct, but
it's a yellow cover, right?
Yeah, yellow book, and it just breaks down like design and like why certain design works and like how you get people to do certain things when they come to your website.
Yep.
So that's good. Professor Galloway.
Yo, man, y'all gotta Google the GOAT, Scott Galloway, man.
Scott
and just
Galloway.
Follow him on Twitter. Subscribe to his email list.
Yeah.
Section 4, I think
4.
that's his company. So much great stuff from that guy.
Yeah, so that's always good. And then, there's a lot of podcasts out there. You just got to find your interest, but just always be studying. And then, the thing that you can't buy is just have the right conversations.
Definitely.
Meet people and just see what they're interested in and just have the right conversations. And I think that'll take you far.
Yo. All right, man. Y'all heard it, man. Benoni Tagoe, president of Raedio, and just an all-around very nice and genuine human being. My man. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Oh, did you want to let anybody know where to find you, or are you, where you're gonna crack out of your social media shell?
So I'm on Twitter. I don't post, but I just read. But I'm on Twitter at NoniBiz. That's NONIBIZZ. And that's pretty much it at this point.
All right, that's a bet, man. All right, I'll see y'all soon, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Peace.